I've been asked why I don't have friends anymore, and I could give you a list of reasons, but none of them seem to capture the full picture. So instead, I'll tell you a story. It's not about one moment or a single decision, but about a series of events that led me here. I was once the kind of person who had a lot of friends, people I could laugh with, share stories with, and at times lean on when life got heavy. But somewhere along the way, things shifted, and now, I don't really talk to anyone. It didn't happen overnight. I wish it had, because at least then I could point to a single cause and be done with it. But no, it was gradual. Little by little, I started pulling away. I didn't notice it at first. Everyone has their own life, right? Their own problems, their own things going on. But as time passed, I began to see that my messages weren't being returned. Invitations to hang out were met with half-hearted excuses, and slowly conversations with people who once meant the world to me became distant, awkward, or worse, forced. Looking back now, I can see the cracks starting to form, even if I didn't acknowledge them at the time. It began when I started changing who I was, or rather when I started suppressing the person I used to be in favor of someone I thought they wanted me to be. It was subtle at first, a little bit of self-censorship here, a little bit of pretending there, just to keep the peace. After all, who doesn't want to be liked? Who doesn't want to fit in? I became the kind of person who laughed at jokes I didn't find funny, agreed with opinions I didn't really hold, and pretended I was always okay when I wasn't. I convinced myself it was harmless, just playing the game of social life. But eventually I realized it wasn't so harmless after all. I was losing touch with the real me, and in trying so hard to make others happy, I made myself miserable. And then, the bigger problem started to show itself. The exhaustion. It started to feel like I had to maintain a persona all the time, like I was wearing a mask that no one ever really saw behind. I didn't even know who I was anymore. I was so busy trying to be the person everyone expected that I lost sight of the person I wanted to be. I stopped sharing my thoughts, stopped talking about my passions, stopped expressing myself in a way that felt real. My conversations became shallow, and with that, the connections started to break down. One day I realized I wasn't just faking it for others. I was faking it for myself. I couldn't remember the last time I had a real, honest conversation, one where I didn't feel like I was holding something back. The last time I shared something raw or vulnerable, where I let someone see the real me, the one who wasn't constantly worried about fitting in or being liked. That was the moment when I started to understand why my friendships were slipping away. It wasn't just that I was drifting apart from people. It was that I had stopped being real with them and with myself. I wasn't giving anyone the opportunity to connect with the person I really was because I wasn't even showing up as that person anymore. But the isolation didn't feel lonely at first. It was a relief. At first, I didn't have to put on an act. I didn't have to pretend. I could just be alone. And being alone, in a strange way, felt more authentic than any friendship had in years. I didn't have to answer to anyone. I didn't have to force myself to smile when I didn't feel like it. I could just exist without the constant pressure of keeping up appearances. But as the days went on, I started to realize something. Being alone wasn't the same as being at peace. It wasn't the same as being free. At some point, loneliness crept in, but not in the way I thought it would. It wasn't a feeling of missing people. It was more of a feeling of missing myself. I had isolated myself so much that I couldn't even remember what it felt like to truly connect with someone else, to share something meaningful. It wasn't about missing the people who were once my friends. It was about the absence of real connection, the absence of being understood. I started to think about the friendships I had lost, and I realized that some of it wasn't just my fault. People change, and relationships change with them. Sometimes people drift because they're not on the same path anymore, or because they've grown in ways that no longer align. But in other ways, I was the one who had pulled away. I had chosen to retreat into myself because I didn't know how to face the mess of emotions, the insecurity, and the fear that were hidden underneath my surface. I didn't know how to be real with people, so I stopped trying. Now I'm left with the quiet. The space that once felt freeing is now just empty. The people I once called friends have moved on, and I can't blame them. I wasn't a good friend to them, especially when I stopped being honest about who I was.